Nagar, we're coming to you live from the newsrooms of CNN News 18. Lots lined up for you this evening that we will be covering over the next 60 minutes. But let's begin with our top focus, which is a story coming out of Nuh in Haryana, where the situation still remains sensitive. It still remains tense on the ground. This after clashes broke out yesterday when a yatra was supposed to be on in that area. As a precautionary measure, Section 144 has also now been imposed in Nuh as well as Gurugram. The confirmation that is coming from the Chief Minister is that unfortunately 5 people have lost their lives. The Chief Minister has also gone on to say that there is a larger conspiracy at play. So what really happened in Nuh? What really led to the clashes? What really led to 5 people losing their lives? Was it the inaction as far as police authorities on the ground were concerned? We'll get you clarity in terms of sequence of events of what do we know so far. But before that, let's take a look at what the Chief Minister had to say.
घटना इस प्रकार हुई कि वहाँ समाज की एक यात्रा जो हर वर्ष निकलती थी उसका आयोजन किया जा रहा था और कुछ लोगों ने एक षड्यंत्र रच करके उस यात्रा पर आक्रमण करना शुरू किया और आक्रमण न केवल यात्रा पर बल्कि पुलिस के ऊपर भी उन लोगों ने किया, जिसके परिणाम स्वरूप यात्रा को भी भंग किया गया और बहुत से स्थानों पर आगजनी की घटनाएं हुई, गाड़ियां जला दी गई। निश्चित रूप से एक बड़े षड्यंत्र का कहीं ना कहीं हिस्सा लगता है।
ये तो किसी ने जहर घोला है, किसी ने इंजीनियरिंग की है, किसी ने मास्टरमाइंड किया है। जिस स्तर पे एंट्री पे भी पत्थर रखे हुए हैं, छतों पर भी पत्थर रखे हुए हैं, हथियार भी हैं, गोलियां भी हैं, एकदम तो सामने आते नहीं हैं। और ये यात्रा कोई ऐसा नहीं है पहली बार निकली है, हर साल यात्रा निकलती है। यात्रा के साथ हर साल जितनी फोर्स होती है उतनी हमने आज भी दे रखी थी। तो मैं किसी जल्दी नतीजे पर नहीं पहुंचना चाहता हूँ। हम गहराई के साथ जांच करेंगे, तथ्यों सहित जांच करेंगे।
So let's really break down the details in terms of what really happened in Nuh, which has led to the situation still being sensitive. And we'll also break down the details as to why this name Monu Manesar is becoming an integral part as far as this story is concerned. But let's really recap the last 24 hours of what's happened in Nuh on the ground. Clashes erupted during the Bridge Mandal Jal Abhishek Yatra. And here we're understanding there were clashes and sloganeering that happened on the ground as well. This was a yatra that was taken out by the VHP as well as the Bajrang Dal. Now, multiple reports are suggesting that there was an objectionable video that erupted that eventually led to these clashes that turned violent at some point. As I pointed out earlier, there were slogans that were raised as part of these clashes and during the clashes as well. Post that, the clashes then moved from one area and in fact spread to various areas as far as Nuh is concerned. At that time, violence only increased. There were vehicles that were torched, police stations that were torched and set on fire as well. As I pointed out, the confirmation that is now coming in from the Chief Minister is that unfortunately 5 people have already lost their lives. But as I pointed out, now let's focus on this name, Monu Manesar. Why is this becoming an integral part as far as this story is concerned? Who really is Monu Manesar? He is the head of the Goraksha Dal, the cow vigilante wing as far as the Bajrang Dal is concerned. He is a man who's allegedly been involved in the killing of Junaid as well as Nasir in Bihar. So in Bhiwani, I beg your pardon. So he is seen as a murder accused as far as this case is concerned. But what is interesting is that since the month of February of this year, he in fact has been absconding. We don't really have a location to pinpoint as to where Monu Manesar has been. Then rumors emerged that Monu Manesar in fact will be attending this particular yatra in Nuh. Multiple reports suggesting that he in fact had put out a video confirming that he will be a part as far as this yatra is concerned, and thus aggrieved people pelted stones and set a lot of vehicles on ablaze as well, which eventually led to what we saw play out in Nuh. And as I pointed out, the government has now come out appealing for peace and calm as a precautionary measure. Section 144 has also been imposed in Nuh as well as Gurugram. This is a developing story. We'll keep a close eye on those developments. We have to quickly shift our focus to some breaking developments also now coming in. And this is the aftermath as far as the Nuh violence is concerned, where we now understanding there is a big move that is coming as far as the central government is concerned. We're understanding the center to now deploy more forces as far as the ground is concerned. So Rapid Action Force is also now going to be deployed on the ground, and the deployment or the RAF or the Rapid Action Force will be permanent in nature is what we are understanding. That's the big update coming in. Let me also bring in our colleague from First Post, Siddharth Rai, who in fact is now joining us on the broadcast. Siddharth, as I pointed out, unfortunately, the confirmation that's coming in from the Haryana Chief Minister is that 5 people, in fact, have already lost their lives. They're appealing for peace and calm so that the situation can go back to normal. But talk to us about this big move that is coming from the centre as far as the deployment of the Rapid Action Force is concerned.
See, this is not the first time that this area, especially Mewat, has been hit by Hindu-Muslim riots or such clashes.
Okay.
Last time it happened in Taudu in 2014, if I remember correctly. Now, it was in the aftermath of the Taudu violence that Gurugram MP back then, even today, Inderjeet Singh, who's also a Minister of State, he had approached the then Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh, suggesting that a permanent station of the Rapid Action Force be created and stationed in Mewat. Now, a certain village called Indri was identified, and talks of a permanent Rapid Action Force station to quell such clashes and rein in such elements. It has been on since then, but it is now that Union Home Minister Amit Shah, sources tell us, has taken the concrete step, saying that he is very, very soon going to lay the foundation stone of this Rapid Action Force camp compound, the related buildings, and it will be stationed absolutely as soon as possible.
Okay, Siddharth, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. So as our colleague from First Post was pointing out, that these are discussions that have happened in the past as well, but keeping a close eye on all the developments that have happened as far as the aftermath of the Nuh violence is concerned, there is now a possibility that this could come sooner than expected. Let's also bring in our colleague Arunima, who's also been tracking these developments. Arunima, any other details that you're picking up of how soon could we see this permanent deployment of the Rapid Action Force?
It will take time. This has been a long pending demand. This demand is being made since 2014. Then Home Minister Rajnath Singh had also received a similar request from the local MP Inderjeet Singh. And now he's reiterated his demand to the current Home Minister that in wake of the continued tension between the two communities, it is best to have the Riot Action Force there, the Rapid Action Force deployed there. Because in any case, you need their services every time tensions flare up. And it takes time to get them deployed from other places. So Home Minister has assured action that he will soon lay the foundation stone. And then once the foundation stone laying is done, then it's a matter of a couple of years before it becomes a permanent structure then.
Arunima, quickly, I also want to understand what is the kind of current deployment that we're seeing on the ground?
So 20 companies of RAF is what the state government had asked for, and these 20 companies were sent last night itself, and they continue to be at the disposal of the state government. Other than that, if there is any other paramilitary force requirement that the state government proposes, along with the state police, they will be made available.
Okay, Arunima, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us those details. Our colleagues have also been sending us ground reports for us to help us understand what the situation looks like. Let's take a look.
We are in sector 57 Gurugram right now, where violence unfolded last night, claiming one life. This is the building behind me. As you can see, it's an under construction where a board of a mosque has also been put up, and the police are saying that it was around 12:15 a.m. early morning today when a group of people charged on this building, and 4 persons who were stuck inside the building, they were thrashed. One person was stabbed to death, while another has also sustained critical injuries, while the 2 others who were also present in the mosque at that time, police are saying, are fine. Police have also said that at least 6 to 7 persons have been rounded up. No formal arrests have been made, but these people who have been detained, they are being questioned to identify the culprits. Force is deployed at all religious institutions in Gurugram and nearby areas, particularly areas with higher footfall and those where religious institutions are there. Schools and colleges, seeing the situation, have also been shut at least for today. Social media is being closely monitored and dedicated teams have been set up to control and to contain rumor mongering.
दुकान बंद थी, इसमें इन्हें सरिया लगाया। अच्छा। सरिया लगाने के बाद में 8-7 लाख रुपए कैश भी था और बहुत नुकसान हुआ इस दुकान में। शाम को दुकान खोलते हैं ना, उस टाइम आए नहीं थे। अच्छा। उसके बाद जब आए थे तो दंगा फसाद हो गया था, भीड़ भाड़ बहुत ज्यादा, भागदौड़ सी मच गई थी, तो पीछे वापसी हो गई थी। वापस भाग गए थे। हाँ, वापस भाग गए थे। इसमें तो सर किसी की वजह से गरीब आदमी सब जो है, गरीब आदमी
पब्लिक चढ़ बैठी तो मैं या मैं दुबक गो इसके भीतर। अच्छा। पब्लिक ने गोली चलाई, यहाँ गिड़ पत्थर चलाया, यहाँ प्रशासन ये खड़ी रही, जहाँ तक वो खड़े हैं वो मानो उसने, और उनने तो इशारा करा है, चलो मारो साले मुसलमानों ने। भाई हम तो भाई आई वहाँ में, भाई हम जब गोली बंद हो गया, जब मैं यहाँ में सुल्ली करके गया हूँ।
मेवात में हुए विवाद के बाद जो लोग मंदिर के अंदर फंस गए थे, उन सभी लोगों को अब पुलिस ने रेस्क्यू कर दिया है। इन सभी लोगों को अलग अलग गाड़ियों के जरिए नूह की पुलिस लाइन में लाया गया है। इस वक्त आप तस्वीरों में देख सकते हैं कि ये सब जो लोग हैं जो कलश यात्रा में शामिल होने के लिए सुबह के समय में आए थे, उसके बाद जिस तरह से इनके ऊपर हमला हुआ, उसके बाद ये सब लोग मंदिर के अंदर फंस गए थे। लेकिन अब पुलिस ने इन सभी को रेस्क्यू किया है। इसमें न सिर्फ पुरुष है बल्कि काफी संख्या में महिलाएं जो है वो भी मौजूद है, जो इस कलश यात्रा का हिस्सा थी। दोपहर के समय में जब ये घटना हुई, उसके बाद जिस तरह से पत्थरबाजी हुई, गोलीबारी हुई, उसके बाद ये सब लोग उस मंदिर के अंदर कई घंटों तक लगातार रुकते हुए थे, गुहार कहीं न कहीं लगा रहे थे। लेकिन अब उसके बाद पुलिस ने इन सब लोगों को एक तरह से निकाल दिया है। आप बताइए कितने बजे आप लोग पहुंचे थे, क्या हालात थे वहाँ पे? यहाँ पे लगभग 11:30 बजे पहुंच गए थे। उसके बाद वहाँ से पूरा जो जलाभिषेक हुआ, भोजन वगैरह हुआ है, लगभग 12:30 पौने 1 के बाद हम वहाँ पे फंसे हुए हैं। वहाँ थोड़ा आगे बढ़े, प्रशासन हमें पीछे अकेला क्यों गाड़ियाँ फूंक रहे थे और पूरी प्री प्लान ढंग से।
भाई साहब उनका प्री प्लान था, जो हम लोग ने देखा और सामने व्यक्तित्व किया, देखा अगर हमारे पास अपने लाइसेंस या हथियार ना होते जो अपनी सेफ्टी के है, और हम बजरंगी भाइयों के बाद कोई सुना रहे, कोई जो अगर हम पे पर्सनल हथियार ना होते तो शायद हम बता नहीं सकते कितना बुरा अंजाम होता।
ये विवाद के बाद अभी भी स्थिति काफी तनावपूर्ण है और आप ठीक मेरे पीछे देखिए किस तरह से मेवात पुलिस के अलावा अन्य जिलों से भी पुलिस को बुलाया गया है और स्थिति को काबू करने की कोशिश की जा रही है। बिल्कुल पुलिस के ठीक उस तरफ सामने जो है उपद्रवी हैं और लगातार फायरिंग कर रहे हैं पुलिस के ऊपर, और पुलिस भी अपने बचाव में लगातार फायरिंग कर रही है और कोशिश कर रही है कि इनको यहाँ से खदेड़ा जाए। ये सिर्फ एक जगह की तस्वीर नहीं है, बल्कि मेवात के हर एक तरफ जो रास्ता जाता है, हर रास्ते पर इसी तरह से उपद्रवी मौजूद हैं। ये जो दूसरा रास्ता है, ये आप देख रहे हैं, ये बाजार का रास्ता है और यहाँ पर भी स्थिति कुछ ऐसी ही है। और इसीलिए अब लगातार जो पुलिस है वो आगे बढ़ रही है, हर रास्ते पर आगे जा रही है, ताकि जितने भी लोग यहाँ मौजूद हैं जो माहौल खराब करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, उनको किसी तरह से काबू किया जा सके। क्योंकि जैसे जैसे अंधेरा होगा तो जाहिर सी बात है कि उसके बाद पुलिस के सामने भी चुनौती बड़ी होगी। और इस दौरान कई सारे पुलिसकर्मी भी घायल हो चुके हैं, जिनका अलग अलग अस्पतालों में इलाज चल रहा है। और इस सब के बीच हरियाणा के गृह मंत्री ने भी ये कहा है कि हमारी नजर है और जल्द ही केंद्र से भी मदद मांगी गई है इसको लेकर के। और साथ में जो लोग हिंदू समाज से जुड़े हुए हैं, जो एक मंदिर के अंदर इस वक्त फंसे हुए हैं, उनको भी वहां से बाहर निकालने का रास्ता सरकार खोज रही है।
Nuh Mewat is one of the most notorious character, if you see, that has come up over the past few weeks, because he not only belongs to Bajrang Dal, but yes, he is a cow vigilant. There are several cases and several videos that have gone viral on social media where Nuh Mewat can actually be seen harassing and beating people on just a suspicion that they might be smuggling cows. Now, how did Nuh Mewat get this fame? Remember, just a few months ago, we at News18 had covered this story extensively, that two people, Junaid and Aslam, were actually picked up from the Mewat region and were burnt alive in Rajasthan in a bolero car. Their bodies were found in a bolero car, the very location from where the Kalash Yatra was supposed to be taken out. And currently at the place at which I am reporting from, it's in Nuh, and this was one of the epicenter of the violence that broke out yesterday. If you could see in the visuals the manner in which absolutely there is absolute carnage that has broken out over here since yesterday.
यहाँ पर बजरंग दल और विश्व हिंदू परिषद की शोभा यात्रा निकल रही थी। उसी दौरान एक दूसरे समुदाय के लोगों ने उनके ऊपर पत्थरबाजी शुरू कर दी और उसके बाद दोनों समुदाय के बीच जमकर पत्थरबाजी हुई। पुलिस जब मौके पर पहुंचती है तो पुलिस पार्टी को भी निशाना बनाया जाता है और आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पर इस जगह पर तमाम जगहों पर केवल पत्थर ही पत्थर नजर आ रहे हैं। कांच के शीशे टूटे पड़े हैं। यहाँ पर गोलियों के बुलेट के निशान यहाँ पर आपको देखे जा रहे हैं और कोई पुलिसकर्मी जो है इस घटना में घायल हुए हैं। दरअसल ये बवाल ऐसे खड़ा हुआ है कि सोशल मीडिया पे जो जुनेद हत्याकांड का जो आरोपी है मोनू मानेसर, उसने एक पोस्ट डाली और उसने कहा कि वो भी मेवात पहुंचेगा जब ये शोभा यात्रा निकलेगी। इसके बाद ही जो मेवात नूह हुए उसमें एक समुदाय के अंदर गुस्सा पैदा हुआ और उसके बाद यहाँ पर इस तरह की अफवाह फैलाई गई जब शोभा यात्रा निकल रही थी कि मोनू मानेसर उस शोभा यात्रा में मौजूद है और जिसके बाद स्थानीय लोगों ने जमकर यहाँ पर उत्पात मचाया, पत्थरबाजी की, आगजनी की। पुलिस ने आपराधिक धाराओं में मामला दर्ज करा और पुलिस की पहली प्राथमिकता यह है कि इस इलाके में शांति व्यवस्था कायम रहे। इंटरनेट सेवा को बाधित किया गया है और धारा 144 लगाई गई है। अफवाह फैलाई गई, उस अफवाह से स्थिति तनावपूर्ण हुई और आप देख सकते हैं ये गाड़ियों के जो शीशे हैं ये पूरी तरह से तोड़ दिए गए हैं। केवल पुलिस पार्टी को यहाँ पे निशाना बनाया गया है या जो दूसरे समुदाय के लोग जो शोभा यात्रा निकाल रहे थे उन्हें निशाना बनाया गया है। जमकर लोगों ने अपने घर से पत्थर चलाए हैं, कांच की बोतलें फेंकी हैं पुलिस पार्टी के ऊपर। स्थानीय लोग काफी डरे हुए हैं और आप देख सकते हैं ये पूरा मार्केट जो है पूरी तरह से बंद करा दिया गया है। हालांकि शोभा यात्रा हर साल निकली थी, गुरुग्राम से शोभा यात्रा सफलतापूर्वक निकल चुकी थी, लेकिन जिस तरह से वो नुह मेवात में पहुंचती है और उसके बाद एक अफवाह फैलाई जाती है, उस अफवाह के बाद यहां पर कुछ देर के बाद पुलिस पहुंचती है। हालांकि कुछ ये जानकारी भी आ रही है कि पुलिस को शायद पहले से अंदेशा नहीं था कि इस तरह से भीड़ उग्र हो सकती है।
And we're shifting our focus to some other breaking developments now coming in, where we're now understanding the NIA has made the 17th arrest as far as the Hizb ut-Tahrir module case after multiple raids in Hyderabad is concerned. The NIA on Tuesday arrested one more person in connection with the unlawful activities of a terror module with allegiance to the HUT, an international fundamentalist organization operating in Bhopal as well as Hyderabad. Our colleague Arunima is now back with us on the broadcast. Arunima, give us the details.
The case goes back to Bhopal and it goes back May 2023 when the first set of arrests were made. The case actually was cracked by the Hyderabad and the Bhopal anti-terrorism squad. They were on the track of HUT and they were seeing how armed training was being given, how people of a particular faith were being converted and then married off to people from other faiths. So this was a suspicion that they were up to something, and HUT is an international organization. And in that context, Salman was declared an absconder. Searches were on for him and NIA has managed to arrest him. The allegation against him is that he too was part of this entire racket. His material includes digital devices, hard disks, pen drives, SD cards, etc., which will now be sent for forensic analysis.
Arunima, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. We'll keep a close eye on all these developments and a lot more. For now, we're slipping into a very short break.
There was a foodie from
Development on those lines today?
Well, there were certain, important observations that were made by the Chief Justice of India, and I'll take you through all of those observations that were there. In fact, the Chief Justice clearly saying that, there is a complete breakage of the law and order situation, and he also said that it appears that except for one or two cases, there is no arrest at all. Look at the way investigation is so lethargic. The FIRs registered after 2 months, arrests have not been made, statements not recorded. For 2 months, the situation was not even conducive for recording FIRs. In fact, the court was of the view that, it is so difficult even for the Manipur police to enter certain areas and to make arrests. So, and he goes on to say that, it gives us an impression that from beginning of May till July so far, there was no law and order. There was a complete breakdown of the constitutional machinery in the state. You're right that the police could not make arrest cause. That does not point out to the fact that there is a complete failure and breakdown of the law and order machinery in the state, is what the Chief Justice of India said. On when the court comes back, there would be crucial aspects being discussed. Number one, and the foremost, and the most important question that would be answered is as to who will be investigating these 6,000 FIRs that are registered, whether the Manipur police would be allowed to do so or not, whether there would be certain kind of a mechanism, there would be a monitored probe or not. All of this would be answered on Monday, whether the Supreme Court would actually be forming a committee. All these questions boil down to Monday when the Supreme Court, the three judges bench headed by the Chief Justice of India, actually comes back, and the DGP is also present along with the Solicitor General and the Attorney General of the country.
Ananya, I'm just going back to some of the details that you were pointing out a short while ago, which is again what the CGI has said, where he said, we may think of forming a committee comprising of former High Court judges, remit the committee rehabilitation measures, supervise the work to ensure that the process pre-investigation is fair. As far as the formation of this committee is concerned, do we have any more direction or details?
Well, these committees have not been formed, but the Supreme Court is mulling upon doing so. It is discussing the options of retired High Court judges. It would be also looking into women, judges to actually come up, because there are cases of, sexual assault. There are cases of crime against women. And that's the reason why, in fact, Supreme Court would also want some woman to actually come into the picture and to actually go on and, be a part of this investigation or this committee that would be carrying out and rehabilitating the people of Manipur.
Ananya, I also want to understand in terms of the clear lapses that the CJ and the top court felt that has happened in part of the state government. Could you list those lapses as well? Because as I pointed out, they already pointed out the fact that there was delay in the first action, which was filing of FIR. So have they listed any terms of lapses that they feel that has already occurred on part of the state authorities?
Well, in fact, definitely. The court has, in its order itself, has recorded that prima facie it appears that the investigations that have been carried out in, in these 6,000 FIRs is something that is very, very lethargic. The Supreme Court has also stated that, the FIRs have been filed or very late. In fact, almost 2 months gap was there between the incident and the FIR being reported. And finally, in fact, it has also been stated that not proper arrests are made in this, in the cases like these. And definitely there is a complete breakdown of the law and order situation is what the Supreme Court has been constantly saying since the hearing began today.
Ananya, we'll just request you to stay on with us. We want to bring in our colleague Arunima also, who's joining us on the broadcast. Arunima, very crucial development that's coming in from the top court, where the DGP of Manipur now in fact has been summoned, and that hearing on Monday is going to be crucial. The Supreme Court has minced no words, saying there was inaction as far as state authorities are concerned. There were delays in filing the first FIR. Is this a significant breakthrough as far as the investigation for Manipur? And this is developments now coming in from the Supreme Court. This is as far as the hearing on the Manipur video that was on the top court. The Supreme Court has summoned the Manipur DGP. The Chief Justice of India has asked the Manipur DGP to appear on Friday. The Supreme Court has wrapped the Manipur government, saying there was no law and order left in the state. State cops are incapable. Very strong words being used as far as the CGI is concerned. Even yesterday, the Supreme Court had wrapped the Manipur state government, asking why there was a delay as far as the filing of the FIR is concerned, asking the inaction that led to the delay as far as the state authorities were concerned. Ananya Bhatnagar, our legal correspondent, now joining us on the broadcast. Ananya, very strong words coming in and a very crucial development coming in as far as the hearing that was on in the top court, where now we're understanding the Manipur DGP in fact has been summoned. Even yesterday, as I was pointing out, the Supreme Court was very clear. They wrapped the Manipur government, asking for inaction, the delay in filing the FIR. What did we hear from the top court today?
Well, definitely. First, the developments are that, the Manipur DGP has been summoned to appear personally before the court on Monday. He will, in fact, now, be assisting the court with regards to the bifurcation of the FIRs, how investigation has to be carried out. But the observations that have come in from the Chief Justice of India today are something that is very, very troublesome. In fact, the Chief Justice of India has gone on to say today that there was for 2 months in the state of Manipur, there was a complete breakdown of the law and order situation. There was no law and order there, and the state machinery has completely failed in to actually, protect the people of Manipur. In fact, it was also, deliberating as to how can the investigation in these more than 6,000 FIRs that have been registered in this with relation to this violence be investigated, because all the 6,000 FIRs cannot in fact be entrusted to the CBI, because CBI handles only premier cases, and if at all CBI would be given all these 6,000 FIRs, the CBI itself will break down in investigating all of them. So that mechanism is being devised now. Apart from that, what has also been the concern of the court is with regard
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Now we want to shift our focus to a mega CNN News 18 exclusive. And this is news coming in from Maharashtra, where we're understanding the Maharashtra ATS has now arrested 2 terror suspects from Pune. And why this information becomes crucial is because we're understanding these terror suspects were planning a terror attack bigger than 26/11. Intel sources now telling us here at CNN News 18 that multiple locations were on their radar. We are also understanding there's a third person who's currently absconding. We want to break down the details in terms of why are we saying this is concerning, because they were planning a terror attack bigger and larger in scale than 26/11. Who were on their target? What is the kind of recce that they had already done? Let's break down all those details as well. Revelation 1 is that they wanted to carry out an attack, as I pointed out, bigger than 26/11, and a lot of groundwork had already been done. Revelation 2 is they wanted to use latest technology to carry out this attack, which, as we pointed out, they wanted to be bigger in scale than what we saw in 26/11. As I pointed out earlier, a lot of groundwork had already been done. The attacks were planned at several locations. A lot of recce was also done. They were also tracking a lot of crucial movement. Shabad House and Naval Helipad was already recce. These are just certain locations. There are other locations that we do not want to name at this point of time. Temples with high footfall were also on their radar. Hydraulic projects also on their target. Accused tracked VIP movements. As I pointed out, not just locations, but key personalities were being tracked as well. VIP movement was being tracked as well. They were training people on how to make IED. So as I pointed out, a lot of groundwork had already been done. What are the other kind of information that we're also picking up in terms of the evidence that has come forward as part of the interrogation of these 2 terror suspects? There is a lot of literature about how to make bomb that has been found, and that has come to light as part of this interrogation. Literature for causing disharmony has also come to light. YouTube links on brainwashing people, as I pointed out earlier. They wanted to get a lot of people on the ground together. A lot of groundwork was being laid. Various Google Map images have been found, possibly of locations that they were wrecking, people that they wanted to target as well. Drone images and links of locations have also come forward. So 2 terror suspects have already been picked up by the Maharashtra ATS. But as I pointed out, one person, Shahnawaz, is currently absconding. How big is the kind of how big a win is this as far as the Maharashtra ATS is concerned? Also, more importantly, what do we know in terms of the interrogation that has already happened with these terror suspects? More details also emerging that a bomb circuit device was also recovered from these terror suspects. Let's also now bring in our colleague Anand, who in fact is joining us from the newsroom. So Anand, as I pointed out, 2 terror suspects have been picked up by the Maharashtra ATS. A lot of literature has come to light, but what has come to light is that they wanted to carry out an attack larger in scale, possibly than 26/11. A lot of groundwork had already been done. Recce's had been done. Could you break down the details in terms of who they were targeting, locations that have come to light as well?
There were multiple locations in Mumbai, not just the Shabad House, but there were also areas which would have high traffic. They were looking at religious institutions, or they were also looking at the VIP conduits, the convoys, the length and breadth of the convoys, the duration that it takes. Some of the key leaders were being targeted, and this was going to extend beyond Mumbai. But more importantly, they wanted to do a mega dhamaka. The other aspect is they were planning to use technology not just human beings but technology to try and create multiple strikes and attempt at multiple strikes in multiple locations which would have a high footfall of people and which would also strike terror within the financial capital of the country. But more importantly, they wanted to do one better than 26/11. That's how devious they were. The literature that's been, you talked about the literature, Ridhima, the literature that they have retrieved shows that these was all training literature. That means they are in touch with other individuals, other people who are also being trained and who are also being groomed to try and being radicalized under the ISIS ideology. What is interesting is that we are talking about this on a day when the Gujarat ATS has busted another Al-Qaeda module. So between Al-Qaeda and ISIS, the two radical outfits are very, very active on Indian soil, and they have critical targets which they have identified, and they really want to stoke the stir the pot or stoke the fire ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. Sometimes, and a lot of these people, their motivation is not political, their motivation is ideological. So they actually want to do whatever they want to do whenever possible. So that's also another aspect. And these people are young, but they are very highly radicalized and they are very well tutored. And they not only have international handlers, but they are also handling local assets. So how do they get to those local assets? That's important. We've got details of the two people who've been arrested, but we are given to understand there is a third person too. And that third person is perhaps a key to unearthing the entire module and the spread of this module across the country.
Anand, we have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us those details. We're getting some other breaking developments also now coming in as far as this case is concerned. Now we're understanding that a third person has also now been arrested. We already spoke about Shahnawaz, who's now understood to be the mastermind. Remember, he currently is still absconding, but now we're understanding another suspect who's also been arrested in this case, possibly has links to this module which has been busted by Maharashtra ATS. Maharashtra ATS in fact has taken this person into custody in Pune case from the Arthur Road jail. We'll try and connect with Yesha Kotak to try and understand more details about this person who's been arrested, and if we have any more details of this mastermind Shahnawaz at this point. I believe Yesha is now joining us on the broadcast. Yesha, give us the details about another suspect who's now been arrested, and what do we know about this mastermind Shahnawaz as of now?
So in fact, from our ATS sources, we've understood that the mastermind in this case could be either Zulfikar or Shahnawaz. Shahnawaz has not been arrested because Zulfikar, who was earlier arrested by NIA, who has been taken into custody of ATS from Arthur Road jail. Now let us understand the role of Zulfikar here. Zulfikar was arrested approximately a month back by NIA in the ISIS module case, and there were extensive raids that have taken place all across Maharashtra. This included locations in Thane, Mumbai, apart from that also in Pune. Now here, after investigation of two accused, that is Muhammad Yunus and another of his accused who was arrested from Pune approximately 10 days back by ATS, has revealed that there are links to Zulfikar. ATS would now go further and question Zulfikar in this case to understand what were the instructions that were given to these two people who were arrested from Pune. In fact, these two people who were arrested were being trained in guerrilla warfare is what we understand from our ATS sources. Like we've had this conversation before. In fact, all of these people who were arrested have been young people in the age of 23, 24. Some of them have been engineering students who had a good package, but they were all radicalized. They were, in fact, there's more than 500 GB data that the ATS had received from them. Most of these were propaganda videos that they were shown, and this through which they were trying to brainwash to follow this module. Most of these people were in fact staying in the forest and were trained in guerrilla warfare, and they were, according to ATS sources, they were trained to work as sleeper cells. As of now, there were no instructions given to them to attack any place, but they were asked to be ready with preparations such as bomb, because when ATS had raided one of the places yesterday in the forest of Pune, in Pune rural near Pondwa, it is in fact near a Kabristan where they found acid. They also found thermometer and several other explosive materials which they could have used for making bombs. Now also what has been found out as a part of the ATS investigation states that this explosives were hidden by Shahnawaz. Shahnawaz is on the run right now. He was among the third accused that ATS was trying to trace. Currently teams of ATS are across the entire state, across in fact in the entire country. They're trying to track Shahnawaz down to piece together these evidences. Currently there are 4 people who've been arrested in this case. two of them had set up a laboratory in Kondwa, in Pune. And as a part of this laboratory, they were trying to make experiments and trying to make bomb, in which one of the accused had also burnt his hand. So yes, this was a kind of modus operandi that was taken by them. One was to make bombs, one was to learn to make bombs. The other was in guerrilla warfare, wherein not only in Pune rural but also in Satara, Kolhapur, Sangli, at various locations they had set up tents through which they were trying to recce those places and piece together evidences. Now let us understand, an important piece of evidence that had come in from the 500 GB data that was seized from them were the Google images of Chabad House in Mumbai, which was in fact one of the places which was attacked by terrorists in 26/11. These pictures, they were marked and pinned by these accused. Similarly, they had taken pictures and Google Map locations of various locations in the Pune rural area, Satara, Sangli,
so
and Forest,
as
where they were
out,
staying.
there is another arrest that is being made, and either Zulfikar or Shahnawaz could be the main mastermind. As of now, we are understanding Shahnawaz is in fact absconding. Yasha, thanks a lot for getting us all those details. We want to bring in our guest as well. We have retired Major General A.K. Sivaj, who is a defence expert, who is also now joining us. So thank you for joining us and also for patiently waiting. Now, details that are emerging in terms of these two terror suspects who have been picked up by Maharashtra ATS, suggesting that they were planning a terror attack which was going to be bigger than 26/11. Multiple people on their radar, recce's that had been done. How do you see the information that is coming out?
Ridhima, great revolution, but then this is very well known. The Islamic State Khorasan is spreading its wings in the southern part of the country, and the people whom they are targeting are the students who are well motivated. Otherwise, they are on a good job. They are technically qualified. They very slowly and steadily radicalize them, and that is how then this network spread. And you find that they can manufacture the ID themselves. Yourself kit is there with them. They can also make a small weapon like pistol. That is an art which is given to them, and this is what is happening. It is spreading like a wildfire in Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and this is the cause of concern. You know what happened is after Taliban has taken over Afghanistan, Al Qaeda and Islamic State and all, they are coming together, and the spread in the southern part of the country is huge. Now whether it is Shahnawaz or the other chap who is involved, they are the mastermind, and they were the one which were trying to spread radicalization among these colleagues. And what they were doing is they have wrecked 5 places. One is the religious places, academic institution. They have also gone to hotels. They have gone to defense installation. They have the map of that place, and they have also got some weapon through the drones. Possibly these drones have been used to get these weapons. The weapons were already there, and they were getting a lot of explosive, and they were making ID in the places they have. So the point is a great revolution, but it's just a beginning. I'm saying interrogation
But sir, as you're rightly pointing out, it's not just the information that has come out in terms of who was on their radar, the locations that they were wrecking. It's the literature that has come out as well, which makes it very clear that there was rampant radicalization that was happening on the ground, which meant that they wanted to mobilize a larger cadre on the ground to help them carry out an attack bigger than 26/11. And that's why these Google images, the drives that have been found, become extremely crucial.
Absolutely. See, the point is that they are commoner people. Otherwise, if you see in day-to-day life, that you can't identify them. They are one of those who are working in some company, and they are the one which then further radicalize the youth, and then they don't leave any telltale sign. The signatures are not there. Until unless you do not break the basically network, you will not able to find out people like Zulfikar, Shahnawaz. They are very smart in radicalizing this youth. Since I have worked a lot in this department, I know it. They have a very 100% foolproof of radicalizing and spreading this network. They have a sleeper cell. They have an overground worker. They do not use much, basically, you can say, mobile or other technical thing which leave with the signature. They are very smart, and they pass from one place to another through the chips. And the way they were now conducting this recce in Maharashtra, this is eye-opener. The targets were huge, and this, in case they would have succeeded, this would have been much more than worse than 26/11.
So this point has to be realized. See, my point is, Ridhima, what has happened
I
in
agree
last
with the
about
point
8
that
years.
you're making, sir, that all of this now needs to be reaching its evident conclusion in terms of the arrests that are being made and also in terms of breaking the kind of network that is active on the ground. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Always a pleasure speaking to you, sir. We have to quickly shift our focus to some other breaking developments also now coming in. Some news now coming in from Palwal, where we are now understanding miscreants in fact have set fire to a scrap shop which was located on the national highway. What we're also understanding is petrol was set on fire by the youths who came riding on a bike. A bike riding youth escaped from the spot after setting fire. After getting the information, police and fire brigade team in fact also reached the spot. The fire department fortunately got control of the fire after about 15 minutes. The fare kept in the shop was also burnt to ashes. So some very disturbing news there coming in from Palwar, where, as I pointed out, miscreants set fire to a scrap shop that was in fact located on the national highway, and those visuals on your screens as well, where you can see plumes of smoke emerging from that location. But fortunately, the update that we're getting is that authorities managed to take action timely. There was police and fire brigade that reached the spot immediately after they got information, and then the fire in fact was brought under control. We'll try and get more details of what really is happening on the ground and what does the ground situation really look like. Our colleague from News 18, Chaman, in fact is now joining us on the broadcast. Chaman, और क्या जानकारी है आपके पास?
जी देखिए, ये जो घटना है ये पलवल का जो नेशनल हाईवे है वहाँ पर जो है दोपहर को घटी है और कुछ जो शराबी तत्व थे उन्होंने जो है वो बाइक पर वहाँ पर सवार पर आते हैं और उन्होंने पेट्रोल लगाकर जो है कबाड़ की दुकान थी वहाँ पर जो है उसको आग के हवाले कर दिया। उसके बाद पुलिस को जो है इंफॉर्मेशन दी गई और पुलिस के जो कुछ अधिकारी वहाँ पर मौके पर पहुंचे और उन्होंने दमकल की गाड़ी को बुलाकर उस आग को बुझाने की कोशिश की और हरियाणा पुलिस की तरफ से और हरियाणा के जो डीजीपी है उन्होंने मौके पर ही कुछ उत्तरदायियों को जो है वहां से जो है वो कुछ हिरासत में लिया और वहां से भगाया भी। लेकिन जिस तरह से हरियाणा के मुख्यमंत्री ने आज हरियाणा के गृह मंत्री के साथ और जो उच्च अधिकारी है उनको लेकर जो है आज चंडीगढ़ में जो है उनके साथ बैठक की और उसके बाद बैठक के बाद जो है वो एक बयान जारी करके कहा गया कि इस नूह हिंसा में जितने भी जो उत्तरदायी हैं उन्होंने जो इस मामले को जो है भड़काया है उनके खिलाफ जो है सख्त कार्रवाई की जा रही है और लगभग जो है 44 के करीब जो है एफआईआर जो है पूरे हरियाणा के जो 4 जिले हैं वहां पर जो घटना जो हिंसा की घटना देखने को मिली है वहां पर 44 एफआईआर दर्ज की गई है और लगभग जो है वो 70 के करीब जो लोग हैं इस मामले में जो है अभी जो है गिरफ्तार कर चुकी है हरियाणा सरकार और 5 लोगों की जो है इस पूरी घटना में जो है वो मौत हो चुकी है जिसमें से जो 2 पुलिस वाले हैं और 3 सिविलियन बताए जा रहे हैं।
जी चमन, मैं एक चीज़ और आपसे समझना चाहती हूँ। जो मुख्यमंत्री हरियाणा के उन्होंने दिन में एक बड़ा बयान दिया है। उन्होंने ये तो कंफर्म कर दिया है कि 5 लोगों की मौत हो गई है, पर उन्होंने ये भी कहा है कि एक बड़ी कॉन्स्पिरेसी है, हो सकता है बाहर से किसी का हाथ हो। उस पर कोई जानकारी है अभी तक? इन्वेस्टिगेशन का क्या इन्वेस्टिगेशन की स्थिति उस पर पहुँची है अभी?
जी देखिए, हरियाणा के मुख्यमंत्री और हरियाणा के गृह मंत्री का सुबह भी बयान आया था और ये साफ तौर पर कहा गया था कि इसके पीछे जो है कोई बड़ी साजिश हो सकती है और उसी को लेकर हम जो है वो तथ्य जो है जुटा रहे हैं और कहां पर जो है वो लैप्स हुआ है और अगर ये प्लानिंग जो थी वो पहले से अगर रची गई होगी तो उसके पीछे भी जो है सीआईडी और जो उच्च अधिकारी हैं वो बैठक कर रहे हैं और इस बात का पता लगाया जा रहा है कि इस साजिश के पीछे कौन मास्टरमाइंड है। तो कहीं ना कहीं मुख्यमंत्री से भी आज मुख्यमंत्री ने भी ये बयान जारी करके कहा है कि इस घटना के पीछे जो है वो किसी बड़ी घटना को अंजाम देना था और उसके पीछे कोई और मास्टरमाइंड है। तो इसके पीछे जो है वो लगातार जो है वो जांच जो है वो हरियाणा सरकार कर रही है।
Okay, Chaman, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. The situation still volatile in Haryana. There are episodes of fresh violence that have broken out in Palwal as well. We'll keep a close eye on all those developments. For now, we're slipping into a very short break.
Brought brought to you by
of the dead bodies, for which the court has asked the Solicitor General to come back on Monday. And, very, very crucially, the Supreme Court has held that the investigations that have been conducted so far are very, very tardy, slow, and in fact, few or no arrests have been made in these cases. And in fact, people of Manipur have lost their faith is something that the CJI could hint at. But on Monday, when the Supreme Court again sits back to hear this particular matter, the DGP of Manipur will be present in the court. He will have to appear before, in fact, the Chief Justice of India's court to actually assist the court with regards to the situation there, with regards to how things can be brought back to normal. And in fact, the Supreme Court is also mulling on to actually create committee headed by former judges at the High Court. So all of this would be a very, very important and crucial hearing on Monday, where Supreme Court could be seen figuring out, or somewhere or the other, drawing a mechanism as to how things in Manipur can actually be improved.
Yeah, very strong words, as we pointed out, Ananya, coming in as far as the top court is concerned, and that hearing on Monday is also going to be extremely crucial. I just want to go back to what we heard from the Supreme Court even yesterday, and I want to understand whether there was any development on those lines. Yesterday also we heard from the top court that yes, immediate justice for these victims is needed, but what about a larger mechanism in place to ensure that there is not the kind of inaction that we saw by authorities on the ground? Was there any development on those lines today?
Well, there were certain, important observations that were made by the Chief Justice of India, and I'll take you through all of those observations that were there. In fact, the Chief Justice clearly saying that, there is a complete breakage of the law and order situation, and he also said that it appears that except for one or two cases, there is no arrest at all. Look at the way investigation is so lethargic. The FIRs registered after 2 months, arrests have not been made, statements not recorded. For 2 months, the situation was not even conducive for recording FIRs. In fact, the court was of the view that, it is so difficult even for the Manipur police to enter certain areas and to make arrests. So, and he goes on to say that, it gives us an impression that from beginning of May till July so far, there was no law and order. There was a complete breakdown of the constitutional machinery in the state. You're right that the police could not make arrest cause. That does not point out to the fact that there is a complete failure and breakdown of the law and order machinery in the state, is what the Chief Justice of India said. On Monday, when the court comes back, there would be crucial aspects being discussed. Number one, and the foremost and the most important question that would be answered is as to who will be investigating these 6,000 FIRs that are registered, whether the Manipur police would be allowed to do so or not, whether there would be certain kind of a mechanism, there would be a monitored probe or not. All of this would be answered on Monday, whether the Supreme Court would actually be forming a committee. All these questions boil down to Monday, when the Supreme Court, the 3 judges bench headed by the Chief Justice of India, actually comes back, and the DGP is also present along with the Solicitor General and the Attorney General of the country.
Ananya, I'm just going back to some of the details that you were pointing out a short while ago, which is again what the CGI has said, where he said, we may think of forming a committee comprising of former High Court judges, remit the committee rehabilitation measures, supervise the work to ensure that the process pre-investigation is fair. As far as the formation of this committee is concerned, do we have any more direction or details?
Well, these committees have not been formed, but the Supreme Court is mulling upon doing so. It is discussing the options of retired High Court judges. It would be also looking into women, judges to actually come up, because there are cases of, sexual assault. There are cases of crime against women. And that's the reason why, in fact, Supreme Court would also want some woman to actually come into the picture and to actually go on and be a part of this investigation or this committee that would be carrying out and rehabilitating the people of Manipur.
Ananya, I also want to understand in terms of the clear lapses that the CJ and the top court felt that has happened in part of the state government. Could you list those lapses as well? Because as I pointed out, they already pointed out to the fact that there was delay in the first action, which was filing of FIR. So have they listed any terms of lapses that they feel that has already occurred on part of the state authorities?
Well, in fact, definitely. The court has, in its order itself, has recorded that prima facie it appears that the investigations that have been carried out in in these 6,000 FIRs is something that is very, very lethargic. The Supreme Court has also stated that, the FIRs have been filed or very late. In fact, almost 2 months gap was there between the incident and the FIR being reported. And finally, in fact, it has also been stated that not proper arrests are made in this, in the cases like these. And definitely, there is a complete breakdown of the law and order situation, is what the Supreme Court has been constantly saying since the hearing began today.
Ananya, we'll just request you to stay on with us. We want to bring in our colleague Arunima also, who's joining us on the broadcast. Arunima, very crucial development that's coming in from the top court, where the DGP of Manipur now in fact has been summoned, and that hearing on Monday is going to be crucial. The Supreme Court has minced no words, saying there was inaction as far as state authorities are concerned. There were delays in filing the first FIR. Is this a significant breakthrough as far as the investigation for Manipur? And this is developments now coming in from the Supreme Court. This is as far as the hearing on the Manipur video that was on the top court. The Supreme Court has summoned the Manipur DGP. The Chief Justice of India has asked the Manipur DGP to appear on Friday. The Supreme Court has wrapped the Manipur government, saying there was no law and order left in the state. State cops are incapable. Very strong words being used as far as the CGI is concerned. Even yesterday, the Supreme Court had wrapped the Manipur state government, asking why there was a delay as far as the filing of the FIR is concerned, asking the inaction that led to the delay as far as the state authorities were concerned. Ananya Bhatnagar, our legal correspondent, now joining us on the broadcast. Ananya, very strong words coming in and a very crucial development coming in as far as the hearing that was on in the top court, where now we're understanding the Manipur DGP in fact has been summoned. Even yesterday, as I was pointing out, the Supreme Court was very clear. They wrapped the Manipur government, asking for inaction, the delay in filing the FIR. What did we hear from the top court today?
Well, definitely. First, the developments are that, the Manipur DGP has been summoned to appear personally before the court on Monday. He will, in fact, now,
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us, and we're getting some breaking developments now coming in. There are episodes of fresh violence that is once again being reported from Haryana. This time around from Badshahpur, where we're understanding shops now in fact have also been vandalized. Things have been thrown out on the street. So situation still remains tense in Gurugram, in Badshahpur, where, as I pointed out, an episode of fresh violence has been reported. Shops have been vandalized. We'll try and get more details, but we're understanding there is a heavy deployment on the ground as well. Our colleague Anshul, in fact, now joining us on the broadcast. Anshul, could you help us understand what is the ground situation like looking? We're understanding shops have been vandalized. There is a heavy deployment on the ground as well.
So this is being said as a reaction to the action that happened yesterday, and now we are getting these stories from in and around the district of Nuh, where violence has broken out not only in Gurugram but also in places of Palwal as well. Now, what happened in Gurugram is that two shops have been broken. In fact, whatever things were present inside the shop, they have been thrown on the roads, whereas one shop has been set on fire by the rioters who were present over there. Post that, heavy deployment of the police has been made on the ground, and at this point in time the situation is said to be normal and is under control of the administration. But yes, this incident that has happened again raises the questions on the preparations of the Haryana government and the Haryana administration to make sure that the law and order situation remains under control, because the manner in which the reports of arson and reports of rioting are coming in from in and around this district of Nuh, this is something that is very worrying. What is happening on the ground in Nuh at this point in time is that the police has started the process of identifying the culprits of rioting, and they are now being taken into custody by the local police over here, whereas we are seeing this kind of violence that has broken out across, in fact, in parts of Gurugram, in parts of Palwal as well. So yes, now it remains to be seen as to how quickly can the police finally go ahead and manage the emotions of both these sides, so that the cases of rioting that we are hearing day in and day out, these cases actually stop.
Sure. Anshul, we'll just request you to stay on with us, because I believe there is now a press conference that's coming in by the Haryana police. Let's listen in.
कुछ भी अप्रिय घटना घटती है तो मौके पे उस चीज़ को सुलटा जा सके। जी बिल्कुल मैं आपके माध्यम से बताना चाहूँगा कि अभी हमारा जो साइबर सेल है बेसिकली फेसबुक पे, ट्विटर पे और इंस्टाग्राम पे पैनी नज़र बनाए रखे हुए हैं। अगर किसी भी तरह का ऐसा पोस्ट, एप्रिय पोस्ट जो किसी पर्टिकुलर किसी भी कास्ट धर्म को आहत पहुंचाता है, उसके लिए कड़ी कानूनी कार्रवाई का प्रावधान किया गया है। और मैं आपके माध्यम से भी अपील करना चाहूँगा सभी रोहतक वासियों से कि जो भी अफवाहें हैं, अफवाहों से बचें। किसी भी तरह का अप्रिय कोई भी ऐसा कमेंट इंस्टाग्राम पे, ट्विटर हैंडल पे या फेसबुक पे ना डालें जिससे पर्टिकुलर किसी धर्म की जो भावना है उसको किसी तरह का कष्ट पहुँचे। और किसी भी तरह के अफवाह की उनको सूचना मिलती है तो तुरंत 112 पे जो हमारा कंट्रोल रूम का टोल फ्री नंबर है उस पर सूचना दें। ऐसे व्यक्ति जो कि ऐसी किसी भी अप्रिय घटना या अफवाह को फैलाता हुआ मिला तो पुलिस कानूनी कार्रवाई बड़ी सख्त करेगी इस पर।
पुलिस की गश्त बढ़ा दी गई है?
जी बिल्कुल। पर्टिकुलर जो मैंने आपको बताया कि जो ऐसे मस्जिद एरिया है, मंदिर एरिया है और कुछ पर्टिकुलर जो मुस्लिम बहुल क्षेत्र है वहाँ पे हमने पेट्रोलिंग और गश्त बढ़ा दी है।
सर कई लोग जो पीजीआई रेफर किए जा रहे हैं जो तो वहाँ पर कुछ स्पेशली
जी मैंने जैसे आपको बताया कि जो हमारे पुलिस स्टेशन हैं उनके एरिया में जो संवेदनशील पुलिस स्टेशन है, जैसे हमारे सिटी के हैं, आर्यनगर के है और सब्जी मंडी है, हमारा अर्बन स्टेट है, उसके साथ साथ पीजीआई क्षेत्र है। अगर यहाँ पे किसी भी तरह के इंजर्ड व्यक्ति यहाँ पे पहुँचता है तो उसके भी हमने सिक्योरिटी के प्रबंध किए हैं। एसएचओ पीजीआई को हमने डायरेक्शन दिया कि किसी भी तरह की गतिविधि का उसको पता चलता है तुरंत कंट्रोल रूम में सूचित करें ताकि मौके पर उस चीज़ को सुलझा जा सके।
यहाँ से भी
देखिएगा जो हमारे रोहतक की फ़ोर्स है बेसिकली अभी हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि जो फोर्स आउट ऑफ डिस्ट्रिक्ट भी गई हुई है उसको अभी इन्फोर्स, अगर दूसरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट को जरूरत है तो उसको इन्फोर्स कर रहे हैं। लेकिन अभी भी हमारे पास पर्याप्त फोर्स है जिसे कि हम मुख्यतः जो ऐसे क्षेत्र हैं जहाँ पे हमें ज़रूरत है डिप्लॉय करने की वहाँ पे डिप्लॉयमेंट बढ़ाई है। उसके साथ हमारे ERV, PCR और राइडर की ये फोर्स है वो उसको भी बढ़ाया गया है।
सर जो धार्मिक मीटिंग हुई आपकी उनके साथ कोई
जी बिल्कुल। जो हमें SHOs को और GOs को भी डायरेक्शन दी है कि जो हमारी पीस कमेटीज़ हैं जो फील्ड में काम करते हैं हमारे लिए, उन पीस कमेटीज़ के साथ सभी जो ऑफिसर हैं, जिला अधिकारी हैं, वो समन्वय स्थापित किए हुए हैं और उनके साथ पीस कमेटी की मीटिंग भी हमारी जारी है ताकि एक समन्वय हमारा बना रहे और किसी भी तरह की सूचना उनसे मिलती है तो उस पर तुरंत हम कार्रवाई कर सकें।
So a press briefing there coming in by the Haryana police helping us understand what the ground situation looks like. Our colleague Anshul in fact has filed a ground report for us from Nuh. Let's take a look.
The incidents that happened in Nuh, the police has registered several FIRs in this entire matter, and now the process of going ahead and arresting those people who are involved in those riots has started. This morning, several police teams have already been formed who are going ahead and are conducting raids in several parts of the Nuh just to make sure that the people who have been identified because of this, the people who have been identified in those CCTV visuals that have come to the fore, in fact, the footages that have come to the fore, those people are taken into custody and hence these raids are being conducted across the district of Nuh. Till now, more than 60 people have already been detained by the local police, whereas the identification process of many others is still on. The count is likely to go up as the number of FIRs are likely to increase over the next few hours is what we are being told. So yes, it remains to be seen as to how quickly can the Nuh police now make sure that the people who are involved in this arson rioting out here in Nuh, those people are brought to the books at the earliest. Till then, the process of identifying and arresting those people is on and is being done by the Nuh police. With video journalist Rama Shankar, this is Anshul Singh for CNN News 18.
Let's also now shift our focus to what's happening in Karnataka, where the Siddaramaiah, the Congress government, continues to face flack as far as the implementation of their 5 guarantees that were mentioned in their manifesto, specifically as far as the Guru Lakshmi scheme is concerned. As I pointed out, they continue to face a lot of flack asking as far as the timely implementation of these schemes. At that time, we're understanding the Siddaramaiah-led government, in fact, has diverted as much as 11,000 crores of SC/ST welfare funds to use that money to try and fulfill as far as these 5 big guarantees are concerned. Today, even the Prime Minister, who was in Pune to accept that Lokmanya Tilak award and also to inaugurate a few development projects, also took a jibe as far as the Congress Siddaramaiah government is concerned. So what is the plan of action as far as the Congress is concerned, and will they be able to implement these guarantees that in fact got them to power? Let's take a look at some political reactions coming in.
एक तरफ महाराष्ट्र में हम चौतरफा विकास होते देख रहे हैं, वहीं दूसरी तरफ पड़ोसी राज्य कर्नाटका में जो हो रहा है वो भी हमारे सामने है। बेंगलुरु इतना बड़ा आईटी हब है, ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर्स का सेंटर है। ये जरूरी था कि इस समय बेंगलुरु का, कर्नाटका का तेजी से विकास हो, लेकिन वहां जिस प्रकार की घोषणाएं करके सरकार बनाई गई, उसके दुष्परिणाम इतने कम समय में आज पूरा देश देख रहा है और चिंता अनुभव कर रहा है।
ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ ನೀವೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ, SCPಗೆ 7,785 SCPಗೆ 3,430 ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಒಟ್ಟು 11,000 ಕೊಟ್ಟು SCP TSL ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇದು ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಓವರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಬೌವ್ ಇದ್ರೆ CM ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಗಿವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ದಿ ಮನಿ ಟು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಲ್ಫೇರ್ ಅಂತ, ಗಿವ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ದಿ ಮನಿ ಟು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ವೆಲ್ಫೇರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹೌದು, ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ? ದಿಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ದಿ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್. ಕದ್ದೊಳಕಾಗುತ್ತಾ?
Well, with that, it's a wrap from my side, but news continues here on CNN News 18. Viewpoint is up next.
Good evening and a warm welcome. I'm Griha and you're watching Viewpoint. The violent clashes that erupted in the Nuh district of Haryana on Monday have now spread to other districts of the state, triggering mob attacks in parts of Palwal, Faridabad and Gurugram. The most severe of them in the city's south, as houses and businesses of members of one community were targeted by another in Sohna. The state was witness to a rampage that saw many vehicles being burnt, mostly in Sohna and Nuh, and stones being pelted by mobs daring cops to stop them. A mosque in Gurugram was also set on fire and the imam killed, allegedly by a mob of 70 to 80 people. That's not all. Hundreds of families